Happy Friday the 13th, and welcome to my review of Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, on VHS. Welcome back to the Echo Violence channel. My name is Alec. This is actually the first Friday the 13th movie I saw. I know, but as a kid, I was much more interested in Scream and A Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I even saw Texas Chainsaw movies before I saw a Friday the 13th movie. I watched it for the first time in probably 2004-ish. I was home alone during an afternoon and turned it on, and it was on some Stars or Cinemax or something, and I gotta say, I had a great time with it. Not just then, but now. Let's get into it. Let's throw this tape in. I love all of the various home video and home media logos that we see when we put a tape in. The Paramount one is no exception. Then we get a couple trailers, nothing too crazy. There's one for The Hunt for Red October, another one for Shadow Zone, and then a glorious Paramount bumper.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Well, let's talk about the opening credits. I really like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies in particular. The songs in these movies are excellent. Now, everybody goes on and on about the Alice Cooper one. There's another one from, is it Jason Lives? Or there's a couple other ones. But The Darkest Side of the Night by Metropolis in this one can't be beat. I love it. And part of that is just my natural love for this movie. While having what I think is clearly some of the best artwork of all time, it's definitely not everyone's favorite movie in the franchise by a long shot. But aside from just the music, I really appreciate the opening credit sequence showing all the various underbelly, the dirty side of New York at night. Good way to start the movie. The scene with Jim and Susie, the two teenagers who accidentally awakened Jason. Even when I watched it the first time, I thought it was a little goofy. The guy's death isn't too bad, but when it comes to just slowly stabbing the girl, it is a little ridiculous, right? Now, when I say this is my favorite Friday the 13th movie, I don't think it's the best by any means. None of the kills, other than one in particular, are anything, special or crazy. But it's the mood and the vibe of this movie, especially for me, someone like I went on boats a decent amount as a kid. So a movie about a big boat like this is very fascinating to me in general. And then you add Jason on it, and I don't care that it doesn't take place in Manhattan. I've seen horror movies that take place in Manhattan before. Doesn't feel that special to me. I gotta say, recently I picked up the Friday the 13th Blu-ray set from Scream Factory. And in comparison, this movie definitely looks way unsaturated. And, I get it, it's VHS, but holy crap, this one just looked washed out. Some of the stuff with Jason is really scary and great in this. I think he mastered it here. So Jason climbing out of the water and climbing up onto the boat has always been kind of a funny shot to me. Aside from that, I think Jason, when he is being menacing, is very effective in this movie. Kane Hodder did a great job. There's a couple moments where he's kicking the stereo where it's a little comical, you know what I mean? I also love how we get an old school, creepy old man warning us, "This voyage is doomed." Not only does it call back to, the first couple Friday the 13th movies, but it also reminds me personally of stuff like Scooby-Doo, and I'm here for that. I always thought this was funny, the scene with JJ and Wayne filming down there, and she plays guitar, and she is the first to go, right? What's interesting about this is it feels like it's Jason's first kill in a sort of Freddy Krueger boiler room-esque scene, Just a thought that occurred to me on this recent watch. Some of the stuff with Jason as a kid in these movies I don't like. I actually quite enjoy the porthole scene where Rennie's in her room and is just seeing creepy visions of Jason. There's the scene where the two popular girls are doing cocaine and Rennie catches them because she's looking for a dog. She doesn't really care that they're doing cocaine. She's just kind of nah, I'm looking for my dog. Then they get caught by the biology teacher, and they think that she ratted on him, so they push her overboard. Earlier, we see Julius boxing this guy who, from what I could tell, didn't have a name. At least I couldn't see one. This guy later gets killed in the sauna by Jason with a sauna rock, which rules. Again, none of these kills are too spectacular visually, but the idea of it's pretty fun. Tamara enlists Wayne's help to try to blackmail the biology guy, McCulloch, which goes over, I guess, but then she gets killed by Jason in the shower. This is one of those iconic moments where there's rumors and stuff about the director actually got naked and got in the shower. I don't know if he got fully naked, but he did get undressed. There's you can see some of it in the behind-the-scenes footage that was included on the Scream Factory set, so that was pretty interesting. Now, when you say that out loud, it sounds creepy, like the director's getting naked. No, we don't need this. But even the way the actress describes it as, helping her be comfortable is, we'll allow it. The first mate and the captain get taken out. Not too bad of kills. I like the captain's all right. The throat slit, that one's pretty cool. I mean, it's not super inventive or anything, but at least we're actually seeing the kill go down. I like that. The bar is in hell for this movie in terms of the kills. Rennie and Sean then find the bodies of Sean's dad and the first mate, freak out, call everyone up there, then they try to call for help. Then one of the scariest scenes to me, actually, is the disco scene, and the reason it's so scary is, I don't know, there's something about being in one of those settings that's a disco, right? That's not supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be fun, but it's empty. You're there by yourself. There's still music and lights, though, and it's so loud that you can't hear anything. That is scary to me in general. And then you add Jason, and listen, I'm not saying it's a super creative Friday the 13th movie or anything. I have nostalgic ties to it. I understand that that's probably why I really like this movie.
What are you taking, Julius? Nothing. But this gun.
I've said it in other videos before, but I'm a much bigger fan of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, and Scream franchises, as opposed to Friday the 13th and Halloween. Now, I still like both of those franchises as well, but the others are my go-to, you know what I mean? I'm by no means the Friday the 13th expert, just to be clear. The creepy deckhand gets an axe in the back. That's always fun. Again, we're not even seeing anything happen there. Writing all these kills down and then talking about them actually is making me like this movie less as I go on. That's making me sad. Okay, though, this is going to perk me up because I appreciate this kind of stuff in these movies. Wayne is down in the boiler room and he accidentally shoots another deckhand and then is like, no. So to me, that's very interesting and creative. I like when there's some accidental and unexpected deaths, or maybe even a character like that's also deranged and killing somebody. Imagine a slasher movie. I'm sure it's been done somewhere and I just haven't seen it or I can't think of it. But where there's somebody else who's a psychopath too that's trying to kill people. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Scream 6 kind of did that at the beginning. At some point, we're told the rest of the students who were left in the disco are just kind of dead. The disco's no longer there or whatever. Alright, I guess. Miles gets tossed from the tower and impaled on some shit. Finally, we leave the boat, somehow with Julius and Toby as well. And an hour into the movie, we're in New York.
Check it out! Damn, we're in New York!
As announced by a Muppet that also must have snuck onto the boat.
We are in New York!
Now, obviously, a big complaint about this movie is that it doesn't take place very much in New York. I've seen people say only the last 20 minutes. Now it's not that drastic. It's the first hour the movie is on the boat basically. About an hour in, they switch to New York City for the last 40 minutes. Not as bad as people describe. Again, I don't bump into it as much. I don't know. Doesn't bother me. Rennie is immediately kidnapped. I remember this scene when I watched it the first time. Horrifying. Absolutely mortifying to watch this. And, I don't know how you shove a heroin needle all the way through someone's spine, ribs, chest, and all that flesh and everything, but that is one sturdy needle. But even more impressive than that is the fight of the century between Julius and Jason. Not only is this a great scene, is it hilarious? Yes, it's kind of funny, but when his head gets knocked off, and we get that footage from his point of view, spinning down this and into the dumpster, nothing is better. It's in my top 5 kills from the Friday the 13th movies, for sure. He kills a cop, another teacher dies, Van Dusen. So all of this movie, Rennie has been revealed to be scared of the water. She has a big aquaphobia. So at one point, she basically remembers he gave her this trauma when she was a kid, pushing her into the water and telling her Jason was going to get her if she couldn't swim and all this crap. So her and Sean leave this goon behind, and he gets drowned in toxic waste. Pretty sick, honestly. That is a death in this movie I do like, and it's disturbing to think about too. And this is where we get all the really good stuff, all the shots of actual Manhattan, Jason in Times Square. This is the beautiful stuff. This is the money shot for this movie right here. And it doesn't last long. Pretty soon we're in the sewers. Jason gets washed away and he is a child again. And the movie just sort of ends. So let's talk the positives of Jason Takes Manhattan. For me, the cast and characters are more than efficient for the Friday the 13th movie. I've never been watching one of these movies and been like, oh yeah, this cast is superb and excellent. Maybe there's some actors I really like. The jobs they're doing with the characters are great. But all these movies have that sort of campy vibe to them, especially the Friday the 13th ones, the later Nightmare on Elm Street ones, the later Halloween ones. It's just sort of ingrained, you know what I mean? So I have no problems there. I like the character of the dog. I like Kane Hodder's aggressive portrayal of Jason in this. I think it's excellent. I like the setting of a boat. I like the setting of New York. Split it. I'm fine with that. I know other people, bump into that. Not me. Plus, again, the music, that song. As far as negatives go, yeah, the kills are trash. I'll accept for 1 or 2. And I'll accept it barely taking place in New York as a negative as well. I'll put it in this list for you guys. I think that's more of a disappointing thing if you were someone who went and saw this in theaters, because I think seeing it now, you got to be fully aware of that if you're deep into this franchise. Before I rate Jason Takes Manhattan, why don't you let me know what you think of this one in the comments down below. I'm going to give Jason Takes Manhattan a 3.5 out of 5 hearts. And that's because I actually love this one. But it's faulty. It's not great. It is not perfect. If you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.